Welcome to my sci-fi review.
British Sci-Fi, Time Lords, the continuation of the series.
Ready?
Always.
What?
No, not a spin-off. The continuation, like this. Yeah. Hi guys. We're going to talk about basically the second Doctor for a few seconds. The first Doctor, at a certain point, they had to replace him. They're going to have the idea of a regeneration, though they don't call it that. That term's used later on. Now, many people think, well, the first Doctor is becoming old and a little, and he was getting his lines wrong. He had to get replaced. But also the fact is that the end of the first season, well, second season or third season, the end of his arch, while there's stories like the War Machines and the 10th Planet and the Ark, which everybody talks about either being very good or somewhat debating and nitpicking, there's others like the Gunfighters and the Savages and the Smugglers, which nobody even talks about or remembers. It wasn't just hit or miss. It was hit and nobody remembers the rest of it. They were losing their audience, and they had to renew it, but the idea was good. So they needed a new Doctor. And once again, yes, Hartnell was getting a little problem, but it wasn't just him. It needed a whole boost. It needed a jump start. They needed to renew not just the Doctor, but they needed to get an energetic guy, and they needed energetic stories. So not only did they replace the Doctor, but with the first story, they brought the Daleks back, which helped boost it up. But we're not going to talk about that first story. Let's get to the feature presentation and show you. We're going to talk about the Dominators. Now, this is actually a story about pacifism, or the failure of, or limitations of. At the time this was made, the peace movements around the world were basically quite strong, as well as other movements for women's rights and the rights of minorities and all that. So the authors who were writing the script decided which show pacifism to the extreme, and then show why, when you go to extreme, things don't work too well. It's about a planet that's totally passive, and they get invaded. It just happens, for their good luck, or bad, depending on how you want to look at it, the Doctor happens to show up at the same time this is happening. So let's talk about the second Doctor. He's more energetic. He's been called the Space Hobo as opposed to Grumpy Cat, the grumpy first Doctor. Let's see a scene of this, okay?
Now, Jamie, what did you want to tell me?
Well, I suppose you know what you're doing.
What do you mean?
Well, this contraption's homing back on that survey place, right?
Yes, right.
Well, there's a quark there waiting for us.
The second Doctor is a person who encourages imagination, thinking, and just sitting back and looking at the big picture. And he celebrates this imagination, including his own. He really loves his own imagination and greatness. Which is why they need companions like Jamie, not just to ask questions for the audience, but to sometimes point out, hey, that's wonderful, but we're all going to die. Jamie is the Scottish lad behind him there. He wears a kilt, and he's there for the ladies whenever they need help. He also, the Doctor also has another companion in the Dominators called Zoe. Let's check her out.
Can't we get away?
Oh, we wouldn't stand a chance. These quarks are deadly.
Any idea how they're powered?
No, why?
Well, if we knew, we might be able to put them out of action.
Attack them? Are you out of your mind?
Well, they're only robots.
Only?
Zoe was curious, smart, brave. In one story, she actually shows some hand-to-hand combat skills. And she actually questioned the Doctor, not just for the audience. She actually questioned sometimes his motivation and what he was doing. In other stories, she was a screaming ninny who wore tight outfits. They never did figure out what to do with her. Now, the next two individuals we're going to talk about are the Dominators. And, well, let's show them first.
I'll set them to work on the drilling site.
Work, potential, and stamina to be recorded and sent for analysis.
Agreed. If any of them should escape,
Then you will report the fact to me. No personal action. Toba!
command accepted.
There's the senior Dominator, who's very experienced. He doesn't use violence a lot, though he is violent in some of the episodes. He understands that the toolbox of domination and conquest has many tools. And there's the younger Dominator, who takes the toolbox and bashes it over the heads of any who gets in his way. But he does show character development throughout the episodes, and near the end he's pretty much understood what the senior Dominator is trying to teach him. That violence is not always the answer. Sometimes blackmail, intimidation, the threat of violence is enough. In other words, don't use this. Use this, and you'll be a better conqueror. Then there's the planet itself with the native people who are pacifists. Let's show you this.
You can't just sit here and do nothing.
Why not?
Haste is not in the Dulcian tradition.
Better do nothing than do the wrong thing.
You're mad, the lot of you.
What would you suggest we do?
Well, for a start, send an armed party over there to rescue Zoe and your people.
An armed party?
Yes!
The use of arms on Dulcis is totally unprecedented. Not totally unprecedented. In the earliest days of our history...
In primitive times, perhaps, but impossible to consider today.
Oh, yes, of course. Quite.
What are they talking about?
Told you, Jamie, there are no weapons on Dulcis.
The Quarks! The Quarks are, for me, one of the most interesting aspects of these episodes, these 5 episodes. They're multifunctional robots. They can fight, they can help interrogate prisoners, they can help mine and move rocks, they can do almost anything, though they're not really that speedy or fast, either in actual speed or up here. But they are really something a conquering interplanetary civilization would want. That brings us to fun film facts. Number 1, the Quark's voice is that of a female actress. They put it through a little process to give it more of a robotic feel. And some of the noises they make are actually her laughter being put through the same process. Fun film fact number 2, those are kids. I don't mean the Quarks are offspring of other machines. I mean there's 4 kids crammed in those things. And from my understanding, they couldn't see anything, they couldn't move. It was pretty horrible being there. Now, for our next segment. The flaws! Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha! There's nothing really wrong with it. It just doesn't have anything to grab you. The Dominators are 2 guys with a spaceship and an army of robots, which are not very impressive. Nobody at the time was actually scared by them. And the pacifists seem closed-minded, not curious about anything, kind of, snotty. 1 or 2 of them are jerks. In fact, the only time one of them actually does show any bravery and is killed by one of the Dominators. Let me show you.
Destroy!
I have no wish to repeat such action. Let it serve to teach you that a Dominator must be obeyed.
By the time they show that scene, you really couldn't care less. It's not really that exciting. That's why the rating is going to be a 7 out of 10. The Dominators is one of my guilty pleasures. I love it. But for 5 episodes, it can be pretty boring. There's not a lot of violence. The pacifists really don't learn from the fact that they're extreme pacifists. And the Dominators, outside of losing those 2 and that ship, they're not really punished either. I mean, there's still a fleet out there that could probably still conquer this planet. I mean, 1 ship found it. How about a whole fleet? In the end, there's no... what's the word? The scene doesn't have any... what is it?
The scene ain't got no yumph in it!
There's the word. Yumph.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir, but I didn't... hold on. It's Jeremy Irons. He's mad that I used him as a flaw. Picture. Flaws. Who am I talking? Nobody. Sir, it's just that you've done some bad movies. Well, I'm not saying lately, but you have... I understand Dungeons & Dragons was lately. The Time Machine. Oh, he hung up on me. All right. Here's some fan service. It has to do with Zoe and her legs. Have fun.
Good.
I'm not sure I pressed the right button.
Why not? It's not bad, even for an automatic machine.
Well, they're not very efficient garments, are they?
Well, at least you look more like a girl now.